Alright, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the Great Ace Attorney Chronicles, Trial Part 3. We went through two judicial summations, and now we are trying to subpoena a certain Mr. Breakfast Man, or something. I do not know. Let us proceed. Ah, Gina, how are you holding up? I'm starting to feel quite warmly towards her frequent cold shoulders now. Ginny! Are you alright? Why aren't you saying anything? What's the point, eh? Why go to all this trouble and fight so hard for the likes of me? What? Well, you saw it, that picture. What picture? Ah, you mean this. The photograph taken by Hurley's red-handed recorder. Well, I didn't think it would have captured a scene like this, that's for sure. Oh, bless. Anyone who sees that's gonna think I did it, ain't they? Well, I won't pretend it wasn't a bit of a shock when the prosecution first presented it to the court. Surely you gotta have your doubts about me now. You can't still think I'm innocent. Of course I can. Ginny, why don't you talk to us? Tell us what really happened that night. Eh? Bruno's cleverly managed to piece together a lot of the information, but still, we'd really like to hear it from you. Alright then. It was after we had that dinner together at your place, right, Iris? Then we all had a chat up in your office, didn't we? Yes, I remember. After that, I just couldn't get to sleep. So I slipped out and went down the street to the 221, to Windyblank's place. I had to know if Iris' story was there or not, the Hound of the Baskervilles. I don't know what it's about or nothing, but if you ask me, there's something in it that Sholmes don't like, something what he don't want people reading. So that's why he lied to Iris about sticking in love with Windybank for safekeeping. At least, that's what I thought at the time. So you broke into Windybank's? I had to know if it was there or not. I mean, I had no idea. Oh, that was gonna kick off, did I? I struck the lock and snuck inside. It was dark as you like in there. So I gave the oil lamp on the counter a bit of wick. And that's when... What did you think you're doing? Ah! I nearly died, I did. And next thing I knew, I'd grabbed the gun off the counter and was waving it in the air like... I don't know what. Ah, you're the girl who wasn't here this afternoon. I didn't think pickpockets went in for armed robbery. The manuscript. Have you got it here? Did Sholmes leave a load of papers with you? The story. I beg your pardon? The Hound or the... something or other. If it's here, I want to see it. I'm sorry, young lady, but I'd sooner die than relinquish an article belonging to one of my customers. I don't want it. What would I do with it anyway? I just want to see if it's here, that's all. Oh, you want to see it, do you? I want to know if Sholmes really pawned it here or not. Please, just let me see it and I'll go. Oh, very well then. But for pity's sake, stop waving my gun around, would you? So then the old cove unlocked the storeroom door and we both went inside. And it was there alright, the manuscript. Sholmes weren't lying after all. You did all that just to check for me, Ginny? Anyway, then there was a bit of a kick-up out in the main bit of the shop. The Skulkin brothers arriving on the scene, yes. What was that noise? Someone's breaking in! Dear me, is there some burglars convention here tonight that I don't know about? I think I forgot to shut the door behind me, sorry. I better go and take care of it. Could I possibly have my gun back? Oh, well, I'll come with ya and... Now don't be foolish, young girl. You must stay right here. Don't leave this room under any circumstances. And with that, he took the gun out of my hands and walked back out into the shop. I hung back in the storeroom like he said, straining my ears in the dark to hear what was going on. It sounded like they got into a bit of a scrap. I started to think I should help see. So I was just about to go out to the storeroom myself when... I heard a couple of shots go off. 2, I think. Almost at the same time. And then there he was, right at my feet, lying face down on the floor. I was right next to the storeroom door, so I slammed it shut and locked it quick as you like. Because you thought whoever had shot Mr. Winterman might come for you? Yeah, so I went to grab the old cove's gun. I figured I'd put up a fight at least. But when I got a better look at him, I knew. Windybank was a goner. I felt funny in the head all of a sudden, kinda dizzy. And after that, I don't remember nothing. That must be when you passed out, Gina. If I hadn't done what I'd done, the old cove might still be alive. Did you tell the police everything you just told us? Of course I did, but they didn't believe a word of it, did they? All they said was, if I kept telling lies, it'd make things even worse for me. It'll be alright, Ginny. Don't worry. Just stay strong a little longer. Bruno's about to put the real culprit through the mill. That cove what was there in the afternoon? That Agate Benedict? I still remember how he looked at me, like I was nothing. He was there that night. We don't know his real name yet, but I'm convinced that he's involved somehow. Anyway, thank you for telling us what happened, Gina. I appreciate your honesty. You what? You can leave it all in Runo's capable hands now, Ginny. Mr. Naruodo. Yes? How come you trust me? I don't get it. I mean, have you forgotten what happened here before? Come on, it was only 2 months ago. Me and McGilda, we told you a whole pack of lies. And you got the bug trotter off with him, even though he was the killer. No, I could never forget that. Oh. I did what I thought was best at the time. But the pain of that error of judgment doesn't get any easier to bear. Still, don't forget that I also made you a promise. I told you that I'd be on your side to the bitter end, no matter what. But what if I'm lying? You could be working to get another killer off the hook for all you know. I was once in your position, Gina. I was the accused in the trial. You were. Before I left Japan, I was accused of murder. And strange as it might sound, the circumstances of the crime were pretty damning. I was sure that no one would believe it wasn't me who had done it. Oh, Runo. But there was one person who stood up for me, who believed in me, and was prepared to defend me. My best friend. Rinosuke, no one believes in you more than I do. Leave this to me. All you need to do is put your faith in me, and I'll do the rest. I was so happy, I cried. But even then, somewhere inside me, I couldn't help thinking, surely he doesn't really believe in me. Not completely. But I was wrong. As soon as my trial began, it was obvious that he had an absolute, unwavering belief in me. And in turn, I developed an absolute, unwavering belief in him. Since then, I came to realize, if you want someone to believe in you, you have to believe in the other person first. What are you saying? I promise you, Gina, that no matter what happens, I'll keep believing in you. So you don't need to worry. I won't let you down. Even though I'm a diver and a no-good liar. You're not like McGilded. I know that. Eh? That's right, you're our friend, Ginny. Iris. We know you better than you think. And we've come to the conclusion that you're someone we can trust. Yes. That's really all we need to know. Exactly. Mr. Naro, though, Defendant Gina Lestrade and her legal representative. Court proceedings are about to resume. Please head into the courtroom immediately. Yes, of course, thank you. I've been both a defendant and a defending lawyer in my time, so I knew only too well just how hard it was to put all your faith in another. And I also knew just how hard it was to bear the burden of another putting all their faith in you. This is it at last, the final chapter, the final battle. Wish me luck, Susato-san. And I hope you're watching over me too. Partner? Character development. That's some good stuff. It's not final, you're only halfway. You're not wrong. But yeah. He is definitely developing into his own, huh? He's coming into his own, Naruhodo-san. And here I could discuss the orders of Gina Lestrade. Over 6, I was successfully subpoenaed the witness. The subpoena was delivered to the communication station where the man works immediately, my lord. However, the heavy rain has delayed the arrival of his carriage, it would seem. I see. I also returned to Inspector Gregson's species of the case here by the court this morning. I'm glaring omission at the judgment that you report is seized under, Inspector. Yes, I can only apologize, my lord. And although the defense analysis of the blood of the scene makes for a compelling argument, I cannot permit such untrue methods to be used as evidence in my courtroom. It's a big mistake to cross Hurley and me. A very big mistake. My lord, the subpoenaed witness has just arrived in the building. Thank you, officer. Sorry to say without delay. Mr. Eggert Benedict. I didn't expect to be crossing paths with him again so soon. And certainly not like this. Wow, 4 people on the jury. On the bench. Thank you for providing the court's procedure such short notice, sir. But of course, my lord. As an upstanding member of London society, it is my pleasure to oblige. Can I say your name occupation for the record? Ashley Graydon, Communications Officer. No, I don't think he's named after any particular case culprit. Okay. Ash Gray. Mr. Graydon and I both work at London Central Communication Station. Now perhaps someone will kindly explain what all this is about? AG. You were apprised of the situation by the court officer on your way here, I presume. Hang on, AG. Was that what was on the... That was on the cane, right? Yeah, okay, it's not in evidence, but that was what was on his cane, right? So that lines up. Yes, I was. Something to do with a murder that took place at a pawnbroker's on Baker Street. And some nonsense about me having been there on the night in question. That is the accusation, indeed. This really is beyond a joke, you know. Mr. Graydon. What's wrong with the accusation way to get you on the roof? Funny poses. Gladly, my lord, gladly. Naturally, I have occasion to make use of pawnbroking services from time to time. But are you seriously suggesting I colluded with these thugs to break into the place on the night of the murder? I have no intention of admitting to such an outrageous accusation. Even if certain parties here present claim that my blood was found at the scene. Some scaramouche detective's homebrew tincture can hardly be taken as serious evidence. You deny the accusation completely, do you? I must say, I am dismayed. For the highest court in the land to be swayed by this self-professed detective's toy. It was the will of the jury, and our great British justice system demands that the jury's will is upheld. Then it would seem we have the misfortune of a most inept assembly of jurors here today. Oh wow. Insulting the jury? That's not a good move, sir. By golly! How long am I expected to be detained here? If, following the defense cross-examination, your involvement in this has not been established, you will be free to leave immediately. Good. Then I shall be away in time for afternoon tea. Some small consolation, at least. Let us not hold on Mr. Graydon any longer than necessary, Counsel. Proceed with cross-examination. So, we meet again, Mr. Eckert Benedict. Or is it Mr. Graydon? My apologies, you are? Ryunosuke Naruhodo, defense lawyer. We have met. If you say so. Ashley Graydon. Enchante. So. Ah! He drew his hat. I trust we can conclude this quickly. But I'm not holding your flashy hat while we do. Took his hat off. Is the hat in evidence? Can we examine it? Oh, I was hoping. Press. Yes, we even met in the very pawnbrokery where the crime took place on the afternoon of the day in question. Though, of course, you introduced yourself by a different name at the time. It was Mr. Eckert Benedict, I believe. Tell me, what made you... Objection! The witness is here to testify about events that took place that night. He is under no obligation to answer such unrelated questions. You can't be serious. Thank you, because I certainly do not feel inclined to answer such an inappropriate question. So he's going to be evasive, is he? In an effort not to give anything away. This could be tricky. You seriously just colluded these stuff to break the place for night of blood. Hold it! Have you seen these two men before? This pair? No, I don't associate with criminals. Said by a man who introduced himself as Sacred Benedict. I'd like to know who I have to thank for this. Who made this outlandish accusation against me? The young lawyer there in the black. This is a farce. Whose idea was it to permit an outsider to work in a British court anyway? Well, needless to say, I have no intention of admitting to such an outrageous accusation. Hold it! Where were you at around 1 in the morning on the night in question, sir? That is past the hour at which I would normally retire. Certainly. I was not in the company of these rapscallions. You're able to prove that?
Objection!
Listen carefully, my learned Nipponese friend, for you appear to be under a gross misapprehension on this point. What do you mean? The witness maintains he was not at the scene of the crime. He has no obligation to prove his absence. If your accusation is that the witness was present at the scene, the obligation lies with you to prove your assertion. You will fulfill that obligation before putting any more unreasonable questions to the witness. A silent victory, Wiggle. Thanks.
Hold it!
Blood was found at the scene of the crime. There's no question of that. Mr. Sholmes' chemical analysis has positively identified the substance as such. But I am not the only human to have blood running through my veins, am I? How can you be sure that the blood is mine? It could equally be the blood of one of these two miscreants. Every individual's blood has a slightly different composition, it seems. Mr. Sholmes' chemical is able to differentiate different blood samples by... Spare me the science lesson! Who is this Sholmes character, anyway? Oh, I assumed all Londoners would know the name. He's a great... well, a renowned detective. So, even you are unable to bring yourself to say great detective. A great detective, you say? Now we're in the realm of fairy tales, are we?
Hey. Excuse me!
Do you have something to say about that, Mr. Skulkin? Eh? What? Me? No, the Mr. Skulkin next to you. Right, I've had it up to here with this. How many times have I got to tell you? Yes, I know, you're not big bruv Sulky. Mr. Nash Skulkin. Blimey, Governor! You what? Is it not the case that when Mr. Graydon just spoke, a thought went through your mind? Would you care to share that thought with the court? Me thoughts? I don't have none of them. It must have been him. You what? Mr. Nash Skulkin, answer the question, please. What went through your mind when Mr. Graydon just spoke? Nothing. Honest, Gov, nothing. I was just thinking. If he waves his arm around like that much more, it'll open up the wound again, that's all. What wound? Where he took the bullet, of course. It was only 2 days ago. It ain't gonna be healed up yet. So I was, well, you know, I was worrying for him and... Oh, hell's bells. Mr. Graydon, did you hear that? What? Your comrade is worried about you, it seems. On account of your injured arm. My lord. Yes, Mr. Graydon. I have no idea what these two wretches are talking about. Certainly, I shouldn't be expected to answer anything in relation to their mindless insinuations. We know that someone other than the victim was hit by a bullet at the scene of the crime there 2 nights ago. And from the height of the bullet hole in the wall, that person was likely hit in the upper arm or thereabouts. Perhaps you'd allow a court official to examine your arm, sir. The left arm that you're currently clasping with your right hand, as if in pain. No, I refused. Whoa, deja vu. Same pose, too. Is this a callback? This feels like a callback. You have shown no evidence whatsoever that links me to these common thieves. Accordingly, I am not obliged to permit any such invasion of my privacy. Judge, I call for suspension of this trial. This is an invasion of privacy. As I've already said, I'm completely uninvolved in all this. I've never had anything to do with the pawnbrokery where this fellow was killed whatsoever. I take offense at the insinuation that I was in any way involved. My lord, the defense would like that last statement to be added to Mr. Graydon's formal testimony. Continue your testimony, Mr. Graydon. The bottom line is I've never had anything to do with the pawnbroking establishment where the man was killed. I'll press it first, before I decide if I need to present evidence here. Never had anything to do with it. You forget that I was there, Mr. Graydon, on the very afternoon of the incident. Obviously, I am not a complete stranger to the pawnbrokers. I'm currently on the lookout for an armchair to furnish my study.
Objection!
No, you were there to redeem an article. I have no idea what you're talking about. Ah.
Excuse me!
Now we're gonna get the inspector to back us up. Do you have something to add, Inspector? Eh? Come again, Sunshine. You were there too, in fact. Weren't you, Inspector? The afternoon. Well, yes, I do remember meeting yourself and the pawnbrokers that afternoon. You, your young Japanese assistant, and the accused were all present, as I recall. And at that time, this witness, Mr. Graydon, was trying to acquire a particular article. Well now. I'm afraid I don't remember too clearly. What? But you must. I'm not going to lie and pretend I remember something that I don't. That's interesting. Why would he lie about that? He definitely remembers. But Gregson is acting sus now. What's going on here? Grexy showed us a picture before, didn't he? You know, from the cameras that Hurley installed in Windybanks. Yes, of course. Indeed. It's a judge. Yeah, in the gentleman picture she bears a striker's ever as a witness, I must say. Exactly, which proves that Mr. Graydon was in the shop on the afternoon in question. At no point have I denied that fact. I merely entered the shop to peruse the articles on sale and have a word with the broker. Nothing more. This makes no sense. I understand why Mr. Graydon might be trying to cover his tracks. But why would Gregson be trying to avoid giving testimony about what happened? That's all he's going to say on the matter, is it? What do you think, Bruno? I think he has no intention of telling us anything. He's well aware that the less he says, the less chance he has of giving himself away. The complete opposite of Hurley, then. He seems to think that the more he says, the better. Well, at least I managed to prise a little more information from these witnesses' lips. All thanks to the Skulking brothers. Yes, they were key to it after all. So he says he had nothing to do with Windybanks. Well, we know that's not true. Perhaps now be a good time to have a proper look through the court record. Good idea. You never know what tiny scrap of information could become a valuable weapon. Alright, so yeah, now we have to... We haven't pressed this statement yet either. Okay. Don't forget, sir, that Mr. Herlock Sholmes is the most famous detective in the world. And the most famous detective in the world tells the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, Oh no, I can't think of how to answer that. I once saw the world's most famous swindler thrown into jail. He allegedly told the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but what turned out to be a pack of lies. Quite. Now, as you are no doubt aware, the Central Communication Station is the heart of this country's information network. My work there is of paramount importance, and you have kept me from it for long enough already. Okay, we represent something here. Is it a disc? But we'll be back where we started, in which case, like, you know, we can't corroborate. It's just us claiming it. There's a written very neatly with the words rather than use anything. It's hard to know what's the front and what's the reverse side now. It was blood, this stain, like we suspected. That's right, Hurley's wonderful concoction to improve that. I don't suppose. Gina couldn't have been wearing leather gloves that night, could she? Jeannie would never wear gloves. She's a pickpocket. She would also be able to feel her fingertips. I could be wrong, but I think I'm being told off. Okay, this isn't direct evidence then. During February 9, one small box, 10 shillings. We can't analyze the blood on this one, can we? Oh, hang on, is he a mole? Is that where it's relevant? He's a communications officer. Well, that's not evidence, obviously, but... tying that in, though. Well, I don't really have any other evidence right now, so I guess we'll just present the disc.
Objection!
Okay, yeah, it is the disc. I was overthinking it a little bit, but, you know, to be fair, this is the final case of the first game. You know, they're gonna throw some trickier logic puzzles at us. So I had to do a thorough check of everything that we had on hand first before we presented it, because it could have been the receipt with the glove print on it. Have you ever seen this disc before, Mr. Graydon? Why? Is it supposed to mean something? This disc was, until the day of his murder, in pawn in Mr. Windybank's shop. It was redeemed by the defendant, Miss Gina Lestrade, that afternoon. However, somebody mysteriously appeared to try to take it from her. And that somebody was you, of course. Wasn't it, Mr. Graydon? As I have reiterated numerous times now, you are mistaken. That was not me. I've never seen that disc before in my life. It may have escaped your notice, but there is a small smear of blood on the disc. Oh yes, it's under the braid on the thumb, perhaps. That's right. The surface of the disc is covered in hundreds of tiny metal bumps. In the skirmish to acquire the disc, the thumb of the person who tried to take it suffered minor lacerations. So, while the disc bears the remnants of the skirmish in the form of the smear of blood, the thumb of the person in question must bear the remnants also, in the form of a scratch. Oh, gracious! Indeed it must. Mr. Graydon. You refused to allow a court officer to examine your arm before. Are you now going to refuse to allow us to examine your thumb? Because I have no doubt that it bears a small scratch consistent with the smear of blood on this disc. Well, well. It would seem I underestimated you. Where's the reading of this? So you admit it now? You admit you have a scratch on your thumb from when you attempted to take the disc from the defendant? Order! Order! Mr. Graydon. It would appear there has been something of a misunderstanding here. I did not attempt to take the disc, as you put it. No, quite the reverse. What are you trying to say? It's really quite simple, you see. The disc was mine from the outset. Is there some crime in taking an item that you own out of pawn? What? It would seem, Mr. Graydon, that in this piece of evidence, my learned friend has established a link between yourself and the incident. Accordingly, you will tell the court everything you know about this disc now. As you wish. Though I'm quite sure it has nothing whatsoever to do with the pawnbroker's murder. Still dodging. Yeah, he's a tough witness. He's not cracking whatsoever. Like he has yet to be like even slightly put on the back foot. So far. There's a note on this saying for McGilded, but the item belongs to me. The redemption ticket was stolen from me by the accused, that filthy gutterling, on the day in question. I proceeded at once to the shop there in order to explain my situation and redeem my article. In the end, of course, the disc was taken by the police. In other words, I had absolutely no reason to break into the shop later that same night. Exactly, sir. McGilded, you say? The famous London philanthropist. The case in this very courtroom 2 months ago, after being acquitted of a distinctly messy murder. Yes, my lord, the one and the same. Good lord, Mr. Graydon! Are you saying that Mr. McGilded and yourself were acquainted? Yes, that's correct. Order! Well, as the leaders are to hear their name uttered here in my courtroom again. According to what Gina told us, this disc was placed in pawn on that fateful night 2 months ago. McGilded himself gave instructions to deposit it at Windybanks. It's funny that Mr. Graydon here is claiming the disc belongs to him then, isn't it? In all likelihood, he's lying. So he appeared that afternoon at Windybanks in order to get his hands on McGilded's disc for some reason. Sir, you will commence your cross-examination, please. Juicy plot. Juicy plot details.
Hold it!
Would you care to explain how this belongs to you? As you will observe, a communications officer such as myself commands a fine salary. You're certainly exquisitely dressed, sir. So you see, I have little need to make use of the services provided by the pawnbrokery trade. However, I did once find myself in difficulties having misplaced my purse whilst on an errand, which is why I pawned my fine black overcoat to the broker in question. You claimed that it was your overcoat. Obviously, and in my haste I clean forgot that the music box disc was in its pocket. And yet, there is a note on it that reads, "From McGilded." I am a collector of rare and unusual music box music. I first met Mr. McGilded at a gentleman's club in the city and was interested to discover that he shared my penchant in that area. Serious question. It's a pre-production sample. I promised to let Mr. McGilded hear it. But then you forgot it was in the pocket of the overcoat that you were forced to pawn. Yes, exactly. Gina didn't mention any of that in her testimony 2 months ago, did she? No, because McGilded had threatened her to keep her mouth shut. Which means that if we dig too deeply here, It's going to expose Gino's perjury. Oh dear, this is complicated, isn't it? Let's leave it alone for the time being.
Hold it!
So you're saying that Miss Lestrade lifted a ticket from your pocket or bag? That's right. Despite being mindful of danger when walking in the celebrious areas, her kind frequent.
Objection!
Miss Lestrade did no such thing. Well, of course you would take that stance, but the girl was a regular offender. You came to the pawnbrokery that they prepared with all the information you needed to identify the defendant. You were looking for her. That's what brought you to Windybanks. To get your hands on Mr. McGilded's disc.
Objection!
My learned friend is a veritable font of nonsense. Nonsense? Regrettable execution. I say refrain from conjecturing in this way. Is that clear? Yes, my lord. Then I will continue with my testimony for what possible use it can be.
Hold it!
Had you ever been to Windybanks before? Only once for the purposes of pawning something. But like many, I enjoy browsing in such establishments. So when you noticed that the pickpocket had taken your ticket, you chased after her. Is that correct? Yes, that's right. I didn't notice at first, of course, such is the art of the pickpurse. But when I did, I headed to the pawnbrokery at once, in order to reclaim my coat before the thief could. I was merely trying to recover what was rightfully mine in the first place. You can see what he likes because he knows we have no evidence to contradict him on this.
Hold it!
Yes, it was taken by Inspector Gregson here, wasn't it? That's right. This was the very man. Apparently the police are collecting anything that has a connection to Mr. McGilded.
Is that right?
As evidence.
Excuse me!
Is something wrong, Inspector? What do you mean? The last remark Mr. Grader made in his testimony seemed to trouble you in some way. No, it didn't. It's nothing. Let me ask you this, Inspector. Why is Scotland Yard gathering Mr. McGilded's possessions? I can't tell you something like that, Sunshine. What is it, Inspector? Investigative secrets. Yes, exactly. You should know all about that. Magnus McGilded, who died so unexpectedly after his trial 2 months ago. A man renowned throughout the capital for his great contributions to public life. Yet he had a dark side too. Where are you going with this, Van Zieks? I suppose the police are dealing with the aftermath of his nefarious activities, are they? That's enough! Coppers like me have duties to carry out that we're not at liberty to talk about. That's all you need to know. Duties conferred by Lord Strongheart, I presume. The Lord Chief Justice appears to have great faith in you, Inspector. The bottom line is, if you want to get more out of me, you're gonna need Lord Strongheart's paw print first. What's all this about? It's like there's something going on between Gregson and Lord Van Zieks here. Here's the liberty to review. Mr. Gray, return to your testimony. Gladly, my lord. Interesting.
Hold it!
But perhaps you'd seen something of value among the forfeited items. No, not at all. Oh. A valuable was brought in by the police to assess everything in the shop. Without exception, every article on the shelves was common or guarded bric-a-brac. In that case, it's clear. If you broke into the shop later that day in order to recover Mr. McGilded's disc. Have you not been listening, man? Even if I had wanted to recover the disc, you may recall that it has been seized by the police that afternoon. There was no more in the shop that night than as I keep saying, I simply had no reason to break in. So there was nothing of McGilda's left in the shop that night. Nothing this man might have been after. I wonder if that's really true. You know, if you have some evidence, then let him have it. I'm dying to see that irritatingly assured expression of his crumble. The code, right? They're talking about the code. I'm gonna slip the disc into his coat pocket and had it deposited at Windy Banks. Then, when he realized he was going to be arrested on suspicion of the omnibus murder, he threatened Gina and forced her to take the redemption ticket. There's no doubt about it, that witness is lying through his pearly white teeth. The police were obviously after anything left behind by McGilda as well. That's why Inspector Gregson ended up taking the disc into custody that day. But Gregsy's being very strange about all this. There must be a reason for that, I'm sure. I just don't know what it is. For now, I need to focus on exposing the fact that Mr. Graydon is lying in his testimony. Alright. I have a pretty good idea of what we need to present. But give me just a second, chat. I am out of water and I need to hydrate. I have been talking for a while. Be right back. I have hydrated. And I have returned. This is the one, right? If I represent this.
Objection!
No? Was it not the overcoat? Not the receipt for the overcoat? There's no reason to bring a shop here that seemed like. Or is it the portfolio? This seems a little specific. Or is it the box?
Objection!
Right. The music box. Not the code, the box. Which we never found in the end because it was just somewhere there. Right, that's what it was. Sorry, Chad, it took me a second. Because we haven't been talking about... We've been talking about the disc a lot. It actually slipped my mind about the box. This was deposited at Windybanks on Magnus McGilda's instructions. You knew that, and you went there with the intention of obtaining it for yourself.
Objection!
Conjecture again. And in any case, the disc was taken into custody of the police that afternoon. The witness had no reason to visit the pawnbrokery again that night.
Objection!
Sorry, my learned friend, but that's not true. What? Mr. McGilda had another article in pawn at Windybanks. As this second pawnbroker's ticket proves. Ah. There were 2 articles belonging to Mr. McGilda in Windybanks pawnbrokery, and the reason he broke into the shop that night was to recover the second one. Together with the 2 accomplices, the Skulkin brothers. Ah. What had the man deposited? The article description reads, 1 small box. Rather description, it seems to me. Are you suggesting that I broke into the pawnbrokery with these clowns in order to steal some trinket box? I believe there are adequate grounds to suspect that you did. This is absurd. Why on earth would I do such a thing? Once the article had been forfeited, I could simply walk into the shop and purchase it. There would be absolutely no need for me to resort to theft. That's a good point. Indeed. The witness exercised argument. So that means that for some reason, this Graydon fellow needed a small box that very night, does it?
Objection!
It's time to put an end to this nonsense, my lord. Jesus cryptic, Lord Van Zeeks. I do hate to ruin my learned friend's argument, but the truth is quite incontrovertible. On the night in question, no small box was taken from Windybank's pawnbrokery. And rest assured, the prosecution can prove it. What? Good gracious! Inspector, show the photographic prints to the court, if you please. Yes, sir? What prints? These prints were taken from one of the detective security cameras. Well, they really just do be pulling up, more and more security pictures that we do or don't know about. Ah, Hurley's red-handed crawlers again. Explicitly explained using this plan of the shop layout. The victim's establishment was furnished with automatic cameras in 2 locations. One was set to capture the counter where Mr. Windybank received his customers, and the other was set to capture the shelves in which the articles were placed for sale once forfeited. According to the information on this ticket, the gilded small box went forfeited already, 2 days before the incident, at 9 PM on 13 April to be precise. Which means it would have been on the shelves or the forfeited items in the shop front. Now, what I have here is a print taken by one of the cameras about 2 hours before the incident. That's 11 PM on 15th April. The witness is ready for supper would appear. And then here we have another print. This one was taken about 2 hours after the incident. Well, here we go again, 2 pictures. I see, so the 2 pictures to compare. I must say the prisoner suffers at least be cold. Yeah, just staring at it doesn't really tell us much. We're gonna need 3D. We're gonna need the power of the 3DS in order to spot the difference here. Easy, just started to make my headache. Obviously, at Scotland Yard, we consider theft as one possible motive in this case. We explored the possibility that something had been taken in addition to the victim's life. So you're really to get ready to shoot it early, Inspector? Yes, sir. We counted every single item in each of these 2 photographic prints. And the Yard's conclusion is that exactly the same number are present in both. In other words, nothing was taken from the pawnbrokery on the night in question, and my learned friend's assertion is nothing more than a hopeful fantasy. Ah! I don't believe it. If I could have just shown that he'd stolen McGilded's pawned box, I might have been able to break him down at last. You know what, Bruno? I've been thinking. I wonder if these two photographs really are exactly the same. What? So, sir, in light of the evidence before the prosecution, what is your position? She said, in fact, in the night question, nothing was stolen at the victim's establishment. Do you accept the prosecution's assertion? I don't know. Could there be something hidden? Could there be some hidden discrepancy in these two photographic prints somewhere? Let's use a piece of evidence to check. Before I give my answer, my lord, I'd like to try something if I may. Try something? What do you mean, Counsel? I'll need to use a certain piece of evidence from the court record to identify the discrepancy. Northern Treasury Sheriff follow. This piece of evidence is used to help identify the discrepancy between the two prints. That's why they gave us this.
Take that!
I'd like to use this device, my lord, to view the two prints stereoscopically. Ooh! Yes, you've caught the bug at last! You can't resist it, can you? You've got the cross-eyed compulsion. Juror number 3. What a surprise. Come on, Bruno. Let's put the pictures in place and see what this wonderful contraption shows us. There we go. Now, look through the eyepiece. Oh, damn. I wasn't sure at first, but there's a clear discrepancy between these two prints. What? Yeah, there's no way you're gonna pick that out just by staring at the pictures. There's a different location to show the code, Counsel. Indicate the precise location and the discrepancy of which you speak. This is probably harder back on the 3DS when you actually had to like do the images, huh? Because it's very obvious otherwise. Granted, these two prints are almost identical. However, there is one minor discrepancy between them. What? When you view the two pictures stereoscopically, a single area stands out as being different. The location of this small box. Let me... wait. Unbelievable. By Jove, you're right! How extraordinary! Is this the first time we're seeing the judge get in on it too? Because that's funny. What this tells us is very simple. Mr. McGilded's small box was indeed not stolen from Windybanks on the night in question. However, there can be no doubt that somebody picked up this particular box and then returned it to its place on the shelves. Are you suggesting that the small box Mr. McGilded is in fact... Yes, the very same small box I just identified in those photographic prints.
Objection!
Mindless guesswork. What if it was? So a box was moved from the shelf. Nothing was stolen. Which means quite simply that nothing has changed. That may be true, but... Alright, McGilded's box wasn't stolen then. But doesn't the fact that it was moved like that change things? Changes everything. I believe this changes everything about the case. How can that possibly be? The crucial point is the fact that what was moved was a small box. In other words, we have to consider what might have been inside that box. What are you suggesting? I'm suggesting that we need to examine that box as soon as possible. A vital piece of evidence is sitting on the shelves of Windybanks as we speak.
Objection!
That wouldn't be necessary. Some little box belonging to a man who died 2 months ago can possibly be relevant to this trial? Lord Renzix. Hey, Liv, arrange for an officer to go to Baker Street at once. Obtain the small box in question and bring it back here for further examination. Juicy. Juicy. We're gonna get to see what's inside? We're finally gonna get to see what's inside? Well, dramatic stare down. Dun dun dun. The sheriff over there half an hour. Never has a recess for so long to the evidence brought forth. To be hoodwinked by such a farce. Disappointing. Lord Renzix. This is nothing but a smokescreen. A Nipponese specialty, it would seem. What are you trying to say? My learned friend has persisted with the same line of reasoning from the very beginning. That this witness's intent was to steal an article belonging to Mr. McGoodle from the pawnbrokery. Yet common sense tells us that none of the articles have value enough to be worth stealing in the first place. Exactly. It would be beyond absurd to break into a place for the purpose of stealing such commonplace property. If your lordship recalls, Mr. McGoodle perished 2 months ago, immediately after the conclusion of his trial. A trial in which he was found not guilty. A trial in which it was established that he was the upstanding member of society his reputation implied, in fact. So I propose a toast to my learned friend and his most insightful defense. He's bringing that up. The articles this upstanding member of society pawned were entirely ordinary. A black overcoat that just happened to have a music box disc in one of its pockets, and a small box. I assure you, I wouldn't accept even if the man tried to make a gift of such things to me. You know, that does make rather a lot of sense. It's not as if it was gold or jewels, is it? Though goodness knows Mr. McGoodle was rich enough. But he can't deposit cash at a pawnbrokery, I'm quite certain of that. The groceries are always undeniably compelling. It is incumbent on the defense now to bolster its argument. To explain what possible significance these commonplace articles pawned by this fine citizen could have. Your argument in fact demonstrable. Are you to prove that the disc of the box and intangible related to this case? Well, what's the matter, Runo? You know that they're related, don't we? We're vital pieces of evidence. Yes, of course. You and I both know that. We know McGoodle's true character, and we know that this is significant even if we don't know why. But if he explained all that to the court at this point, we'll have to acknowledge that McGoodle's acquittal 2 months ago was a mistake. That the defense's argument was flawed, based on false information. Oh no! And that would mean admitting that Gina committed perjury. But Ginny... Could it be that Van Zeeks knows? Is that why he's doing this now? Because he anticipated everything? But maybe... this could be a great opportunity for us. Sorry? What do you mean, Iris? Well, what is it that you always say, Runo? Sooner or later, the truth comes out. Every time. Alright, the exact significance of the things that McGoodle deposited on Mr. Windybank is something that only Gina can explain to the court. But if I put her on the stand to testify about that, it could critically damage our chances of winning this case. What's the right thing to do here? We'll need to have her testify. Bring her up. My lord, the defense would like to make a proposal. Well, the proposal, counsel. While the court awaits the arrival of Mr. McGoodle's small box, I would like to call the defendant, Miss Gina Lestrade, to the witness stand. The defendant? To what end? It's to do with the various articles deposited at Windybanks on Mr. McGoodle, my lord. Mr. Lestrade has information relating to them. I believe it will be beneficial for the court to hear what she has to say. It will prove the significance of the articles in question once and for all. Well, well. Things are becoming interesting. I presume you've considered the implications of the testimony you're proposing. In particular, the impact it would have on the accuser's standing, and indeed your own. I have. Novenzeeks, will you care to explain that last remark? The prosecution accepts the defense's proposal. I move to interrupt the cross-examination of the current witness and hear from the accused herself. Wow. You know what? I think we're earning his respect though by doing this, right? Hey, no objection. Sir, the girl will now hear the testimony of the defendant, Miss Gina Lestrade. You witnesses currently the same may step down for further notice. And I shall bid you good day. Wait. You, sir, shall remain in the stand while Miss Lestrade testifies. As you wish. Alright then. Gina, it's time. I know this will be hard, but please, put your faith in me here. Good luck, Bruno. Damn. Comes down to this, huh? This is good. I really like where this case is going. Like, they really, like, on the character side of things, this is really good. The articles that Mr. McGilda deposited in Windy Bank's pawnbrokery are intimately related to the Omnibus case, the trial of which was heard in this courtroom 2 months ago. Yes, that is ugly, for me in the trial as well. That's right, my lord. Her testimony helped to establish the innocence of the defendant, Mr. McGilda. The Omnibus case was intriguing, to say the least. And now, here we all are again, the same players in their trial, facing each other once more. A twist of fate, perhaps, my Nipponi's friend. Allow me to recap the events of 2 months ago. An old brickmaker was stabbed to death in an omnibus running along London's winter streets. Apart from the victim, there was only one other person in the carriage, Mr. McGilda. Naturally, he was the prime suspect for the murder. But as the trial progressed, another possibility emerged. That the murder in fact took place above the defendant's head on the roof deck, with the body then being dropped through the skylight into the carriage below. It was Miss Lestrade whose testimony brought that possibility to light. At the time of the incident, Miss Lestrade was concealed under a seat in the carriage, hoping to pick the pockets of unsuspecting passengers. Then, immediately after the trial, having been acquitted of the murder, Mr. McGilda died in this very courtroom in the most extraordinary of circumstances. A mystery that remains unsolved even now, 2 months on. As indeed does the omnibus murder itself. Yes, it's me. I recall not the addition of the small works being mentioned in the court of this purpose of these proceedings. Miss Lestrade. Would you tell the court now, please? What really happened in the omnibus 2 months ago, I mean. I don't know what you mean. I already said all of what I know. And what about everything you told us yesterday from inside your prison cell? Please, Mr. Lestrade, this is extremely important. But... remember, little girl, if it transpires that you willfully withheld information in the trial 2 months ago, the Home Office will seek to prosecute you for perjury. And naturally, you will lose all credibility as a witness. Although, let's face facts, you have little credibility to lose. Jenny, don't listen to him. Please, you have to trust Runo now. Iris? We're on your side. Alright then. I'll talk. It's the right choice, Gina. Well, it would seem that my learned friend is hellbent on bringing the entire courtroom down about his ears. So be it. There's the best of the struggle to understand what is happening here. However, it would appear that Mr. McGilda's pawn articles in that extraordinary case of the omnibus However, secrets of which have been hitherto underwear. So, Mr. Slade, you will now give your testimony before the court about the events of 2 months ago. You will reveal the truth, a commodity solely lacking in your original statements. This is it then. Everything's going to come out. Like Van Zeke said. This could bring the whole courtroom down about my ears, but as a lawyer, I'm prepared to take that risk. Yeah, damn. Is this the first time that we're doing anything like this? I don't think it's the absolute first time. We've dealt with false testimonies before, right? But have we actually addressed them with the same lawyer before? I don't think so, right? I think this is a first for the franchise. No wonder people praise this series so well. It does a lot of firsts, and he does them really well too. Truth is that Brickmaker Cole was in the cabin of the omnibus the whole time. When the Irishman dragged me out from under the seat, I saw the disc on the floor. All of a sudden, I heard a scream from over my head, and the pair on the roof deck went off to call the slops. That's when McGilded slipped the driver some tin to do a run to the pawn shop roundabout. He threatened me not to snitch, not to say nothing to no one about what I seen or heard. This is outrageous. I did just took the coat. There's almost no evidence to your testimony 2 months ago. As you say, my lord. But there's every chance. I may have been getting an error in Mr. McGilded's trial. Sounds very much to the man deliberately deceived his court. And never caught the most wicked of schemes. Without doubt, your lordship is correct. A great injustice was done in this courtroom 2 months ago. The actions of the accused in their trial, of this witness, and of my learned friend are entirely inexcusable. I don't believe it. The whole trial was a farce, it was all lies. That McGilded fellow was rotten to the core, just like that pickpocket. Don't forget the lawyer from the east. They were all in on it together. You're wrong, the lot of you. Mr. Naruto, the lawyer there, he didn't know nothing about it. Humbug. I don't think so. How we really expect to believe that? He really stitched everyone up, didn't he? What an operation to get the man off scot-free. Unforgivable, stop. The lies have to stop. Stop. Yes, the defense made a terrible error of judgment. I intend to take full responsibility and suffer whatever consequences are deemed appropriate. However, it's imperative that the court allows the witness to elaborate on her testimony. Because the true significance of McGilded's pawn articles must be brought to light. Very well, my learned student friend. Given the depths of calamity you have just plunged yourself into, this may well be worth hearing. The situation is utterly deplorable. Mr. Naruto. Yes, my lord. I desire to put your faith follow the conclusion of this trial. Of course, my lord. Blind me, Mr. Naruto. No, of course, sir. Proceed to cross-examination. Damn, we're really getting ourselves into legal shit here. Interesting. I don't think we've ever had a lawyer be put into this much trouble on live and in person in the pursuit of truth, right? This is actually a really good character moment. I like it.
Hold it!
And you were hiding in the cabin at the time as well, weren't you, Miss Lestrade? If I remember rightly, in the storage compartment underneath one of the seats. Yeah, that's right. It's pitch black under there, so you can't see nothing at all. You just reached 2 months ago. I appreciate that you claimed some good was a sole passenger, did you not? False testimony, my lord. That's what he told me I had to say. But it's important that you tell us the truth now. Well, Mr. McGood and the victim acquaintances. I don't know. But I did hear him talking a lot. What were they talking about? Well, I couldn't hear too well, but if I had to say, I think it was about money or something. They kept talking about buying and not buying. There's business dealings of some kind. Well, anyway, they got louder and louder. It started to sound like a proper fight. I was pretty scared by then. I hardly dared to breathe. And then, all of a sudden, I heard a noise like someone keeling over on the floor. It was blooming loud and all. I never believe it out of the voluntary scream. Yeah, That's what gave me away. And the Irishman dragged me up from under the seat and started disc on the floor.
Hold it!
What's the disc you saw? This disc. Yeah, I reckon it probably was. It was right next to the curve lying on the floor. Who just wish it belongs to the victim, perhaps? I don't know, but McGilda picked it up pretty smartish. And then he set the cove with the knife in its belly up on the seat. What did he say to you at that time? He told me not to say a word about what I've seen or to no one. About the disc and all. I was dead scared. The way he was looking at me, I thought, if I didn't go along with it, I'd get stuck with that knife too. And he started asking me a load of questions. Like what my name was and where I lived and that. He asked me about being a diver too. But after a while, what had happened in the carriage was noticed. Yeah, that's right. First there was a kind of rapping noise.
Hold it!
There were two gentlemen occupying the seats on the roof deck, I believe. That's right. I must have looked down through the skylight and noticed the cove with the knife in its guts. When they screamed, the driver pulled up the horses and McGilda got me out of sight. Back under the seat where I started off. Once the carriage came to a halt, the two cows from the roof ran off to fetch the slops. They immediately left to fetch the police. It would appear they were entirely unrelated to the incident. So that left McGilda, the driver, and you still at the scene. Yeah, only the driver didn't know I was there because I was under the seat. I heard the cabin door open and a voice from outside. The driver, yes. He also testified in the trial, I believe. A fellow who went by the name of Beppo, if memory serves. What did McGilda and the driver say to each other? I don't know what happened and stuff like that, mainly.
Hold it!
Their pawn shop obviously being Windybanks on Baker Street. Just tell me. The driver give false testimony in the trial as well. Perhaps the excursion to the pawnbroker slipped his mind when he was in the stand. Indeed, Lord Van Zeeks. McGilda took off his coat and gave it to the driver. Folded it up, all careful like before handing it over. When I saw him do that, I remember thinking, that coat and what's in it gotta be worth a few bob. Yes, Gina was sure that this was worth more than Mr. Windybank was suggesting, wasn't she? I remember her quibbling with him over the price that afternoon at the pawnbrokery. The driver looked pretty happy when Miss Gilda flashed some brass in his face. He went up running in the liquor. And the bog trotter called me and told me to come up from the drag's cabin.
Hold it!
Threatened you how exactly? Told me I'd only be able to scarper if I did exactly what he said. Which included giving false testimony in court 2 months ago. Yeah, that's it. And there was one other thing he said. Which was? He told me I had to hang on to the ticket from the pawn shop and make sure not to lose it. Ticket? Oh, never. Said that if he didn't show up to get the ticket off me before 2 months passed, I had to go to the pawn shop and pay the money to keep it in luck, to stop it from being forfeited. He left me with some brass to pay for it. But really? I never wish you to go to do such a thing. Thought to get over to a pawnbroker before the arrival of the police. Makes no sense at all. There would seem to be only one logical explanation, my lord. What McGilda had the driver deposit at Windybanks was something he didn't want the police to see. Something very important that he needed to hide at all costs. Anyway, after that, he let me go, so I legged it before the coppers showed up. Well done, Gina. It can't have been easy to tell the truth like that. Gina's really putting her faith in you, Runo. Yes, and to thank her, she'll have to face a charge of perjury once this trial's over. So I need to use the time we have now to get as much information out of her as possible. It's time to really go for it. Press her on every statement. I suppose I should. Oh, and another thing. What's that? Take a look at those two. Isn't it strange that they've been whispering to each other the entire time? Yes, that is strange. It looks like they're having a secret discussion about something. I'm not sure I'm completely comfortable with that. I wonder if there's anything I can do about it.
Hold it!
Okay, I gotta stop paying attention now, huh? They didn't actually review anything. Wow, okay, this is the final boss version, huh? We have to identify which one is the one that actually got them. We have to look for the difference, huh? Okay, it's probably gonna be the disc. I think
Excuse me.
Oops. Is there something you'd like to share at the call, Inspector Gregson and Mr. Graydon? Inspector! Mr. Graydon! What? Blimey, you trying to give me a heart attack? Oh, okay, I guess we just have to press them at any point. It didn't really matter when. We have been whispering to each other for quite some time now. Tell us, what is the discussion about? Discussion? With this fella? Pull the other one, Sunshine. You think I got anything to talk with a shady gent like this? And I have nothing to say to this uncouth detective after he deprived me of the disc that was rightfully mine. But they've clearly been talking the entire time I've been cross-examining Gina. It's as if they've been negotiating. Ah, I see. Okay. It wasn't a specific statement that we had to pick him out. We just have to press him at some point or other. Got it. Thank you, Mr. Sir. You can sure have heard enough. I believe we know the reasonable understanding were actually transpired on the omnibus. It would appear on that night 2 months ago. A negotiation was taking place on the omnibus. The negotiation concerning this disc, however, matters did not run smoothly. When the parties involved began to quarrel over price, Megilda took what he wanted by force, at the expense of the other man's life. Which proves my point. The disc is clearly extremely valuable in some way, although I don't understand why yet. See, 2 days ago, precisely 2 months after the omnibus incident, Megilda's code and its contents were due to be forfeited. I didn't know what I should do with the ticket. I mean, the Cope died right after his trial, I knew that. So you decided you would try to claim the articles as your own. Well, why not, eh? You're only gonna be forfeited. Why shouldn't I have gotten them? Anyway, you can't blame me for thinking about it. Thinking ain't no crime. Is this sure Mr. Gilda was correct to kill in order to take possession of this dish? Do you know why that would be? Eh? I ain't got a clue. But I reckon it must be worth a fair bit of brass. He was probably gonna sell it. And you can't blame me for thinking that. Thinking ain't no crime. My lord! The evidence your lordship requested has been located, and is ready for court inspection, sir. Oh boy, here we go. Wait, don't tell me, to be continued? The mysterious little box, deposited by Megilda 2 months ago. There's no doubt in my mind that it's a key piece in this far-reaching puzzle. No! Cliffhanger! Cliffhanger, no! To be continued. What's in the box? What's in the box, chat? We're gonna have to wait till tomorrow to find out. Tune in tomorrow. Same time, same place, for the season finale of The Great Ace Attorney. I'll catch you there. Don't be late.